You know, some people are unlucky in life and some people are lucky. There is this element of some people seem to have a guardian angel.
So here you are. I mean, obviously I get this is a fascinating event of global significance. Tell me, what is the member for Clacton-on-Sea doing here?
Well, I've come to see an old friend who was nearly killed at the weekend. That's the number one reason I'm here. The number two reason I'm here is I think our relationship with America is absolutely crucial. I think that it's quite possible that Sir Keir Starmer, and I was very pleased that Trump did take a phone call from him the other day, but Sir Keir Starmer and David Lammy are on the record saying some pretty unpleasant things about the man who may be the next president of the USA. And if I can be in any way useful or helpful with that relationship, I think I've got a better chance than most.
Yeah, I just wonder, if I was a voter in Clacton, I might, in all good faith, wonder what is my member doing in Milwaukee? I mean, you will understand that. You're now a constituency MP. What would you say to them?
I should say you're right. I should work 8 days a week. I should never have a holiday. No, you're absolutely right, John. It's terrible. And when I'm not in Clacton, because I'm in Westminster, you'll tell me you're not spending enough time in the constituency. And when I'm in the constituency, you'll tell me I'm not spending enough time in Westminster. I can't really win with this, can I?
Mind you, when you're talking to constituents, you need to roll with the punches, Nigel, because that goes with the territory.
Well, I'm fairly used to that. I mean, I haven't got to worry with that. No, look, I was at the state opening of Parliament yesterday morning. It was important I was there for that. I'm here now. And I hadn't planned to come to this, but when I saw what happened on Saturday with the assassination attempt, and by the way, I know what it's like to live through a near-death experience. I crawled out of that aeroplane 15 years ago, badly smashed up, having thought for the last couple of minutes this was it. So, I will understand some of what's in Trump's mind, and it is I can tell you, if you go through something like that, it is a very emotional experience. And I think we saw some of that yesterday, just looking at pictures of Trump sitting in the box here, watching his granddaughter speak and his son speak. So, I'm here to offer solidarity to a friend, above all.
It is suggested that what happened at the weekend, he was mercifully spared death from a sniper's bullet, may have changed him. That is being discussed. I've been here a couple of days now. I know it's not very long, but literally everyone I've spoken to is telling me that they deeply and genuinely believe that Donald Trump was saved by God from that assassin's bullet. His son, Don Jr., said as much on the platform last night. Donald Trump himself has spoken about his thoughts about God after that attack. Do you agree with them? Do you believe, Nigel, that Donald Trump was saved by the hand of God at the weekend?
Some people are unlucky in life and some people are lucky. There is this element of some people seem to have a guardian angel. Do I believe in that? Do I believe that some people are spared for reasons that you and I can't even put any logic to? I mean, if you and I were in a war zone and you got killed next to me and I didn't, I mean, why do these things happen? Why do these things happen? No one absolutely knows the answer, but I think in times of crisis, it's very interesting. In times of deep danger and crisis, it's interesting how people do turn to thoughts of religion and thoughts of God. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, that was an interesting answer. And my question was not facetious. I'm genuinely curious about whether you believe God or divine providence or fate saved Donald Trump. And you seem to be saying that maybe some all-powerful influence saved Donald Trump. You believe that's possible?
Entirely possible.
If that's the case, why would that be the case? Why would the creator or providence, why would such an entity act in that way?
I think we're getting a bit theoretical here, John.
I'm interested.
But no, I mean, do I believe there are forces out there that we have no comprehension of? Yes, I do, absolutely. And as I say, some people are desperately lucky in life and some very unlucky, and it's difficult to put your finger on what it is.
But if there's a God, in a nutshell, if there's a God, you believe he's on the side of Donald Trump and his mission and his party?
We are closer than we've been in your lifetime and mine, and we're not exactly young. We're closer to the threat of global conflagration than we've been at any time, John, in our lives. And the world needs, one thing we know from history is that peace comes through strength, not through weakness. And the other thing that we know from our last sort of 25 years is that when America's in a warmongering mood, we get dragged into, mistakenly. And that I see Trump and his 4-year presidency as being the great peacemaker. I think the Abraham Accords, I think crossing into North Korea to at least talk to the North Koreans, I think all of his instincts are about peace through strength, and I think the world needs that very badly.
All right. You will know, because you must know, and I've no doubt that you do know, that in Ukraine they are looking at what is happening, well, here, I think with a good deal of anxiety, and the possibility of Donald Trump becoming president with a good deal of anxiety. And now he has J.D. Vance at his side, who, if anything, is more supportive of the idea of forcing Ukraine to the negotiating table with Vladimir Putin than anyone else he could have picked. They'll be scared about that in Ukraine, and the Western allies will be scared too. You're going to be meeting Donald Trump a little later on. Would you be telling him he's wrong about Ukraine, that he has to back Ukraine?
Well, he is backing Ukraine. I mean, make no
Well,
mistake.
the question is, you know what the purpose of the question.
I know exactly what you're saying. He is backing Ukraine. Look, think big picture, really big picture here. Wars end in one of two ways. They end in negotiation or annihilation. They are the only two possible outcomes. I worry that Ukraine will run out of manpower. I worry that because of history, Russia never ever gives up. Would an attempt to broker a peace deal to end the killing of what may be as many as 1 million battle casualties? I mean, the figures we're almost talking First World War here in terms of what's going on. Is an attempt to find peace a good idea? Yes, it is. Do I think we should continue to support Ukraine against this invasion? Certainly I do. But the idea, and Boris Johnson is the chief proponent of this, Ukraine will win, Ukraine will win. Well, maybe, but maybe they'll have no men left. So this is a horrible war, and the West should not be prolonging it if there's an opportunity to end it.
Well, it's all about the definition of the word opportunity, isn't it? Donald Trump is very clear. He has said he would end the war in Ukraine in 24 hours. We needn't take that absolutely literally. No. I mean, J.D. Vance has said he wants to push Ukraine to that negotiating table by saying you will not get support from us unless you go to that table. And if they go to that table, well, it will mean giving up vast amounts, let me put the question, huge amounts of captured territory to Russia. It will mean, in a word, defeat.
Well, that clearly wouldn't be acceptable.
So Ukraine should not cede that territory to Russia for the purpose of peace?
I think there is a potentially very powerful negotiating card that we have, we being on the side of Ukraine, not Russia in this. And ironically, it's NATO. Because although I have talked extensively in years gone by about the mistakes of eastward expansion, but that's history. We are where we are. And I think the one negotiating card Trump has got is to say to Putin, look, this war is devastating for both sides. Unless you're prepared to sit down at the table and concede this ground you've taken, Ukraine will join NATO. That is the toughest negotiating card that we've got. Now, I can't prejudge what's in Trump's mind, but I don't think our position backing Ukraine in a negotiation with Putin is perhaps as weak as some people think.
Yesterday I spoke to Elbridge Colby, who may well turn out to be the national security advisor in a Trump presidency. He was pretty clear that, look, if and when it came to him, he was thinking that you have to be, as you would argue, realistic about this, and Ukraine would have to give up Crimea and give over the territory that Russia occupies in Ukraine. You would agree with that?
No, I wouldn't agree with it, but I also wouldn't prejudge what might happen. Look, either we go on backing Ukraine, the stalemate of trench warfare and mass killing continues, or we attempt a peace negotiation. And a peace negotiation will probably fail at first attempt. But it was Churchill himself who said, George War is better than war. I don't think there's anything wrong with that position.
Last word on this, Nigel, if I might. Would you accept that what they're hearing now from Donald Trump, what they know is in the mind of J.D. Vance, music to Vladimir Putin's ears?
No, because both sides probably could do with a truce.
Well, tell that to Volodymyr Zelensky, who's in Blenheim Palace, arguing for more and greater and guaranteed support.
That's different. Giving continued support is different to saying at some point somebody might come in the middle and broker a negotiation. Look, World War I ended with an armistice, all right? A ceasefire. World War II ended in the annihilation of Germany and the deaths of millions and millions and millions of people. There are always arguments in war as to what is the right time to end it. It may well be that we're happy, John, to keep on providing all the weapons we can and to see this war go on for 5 more years, because that's how it looks to me. It looks to me to be a military stalemate. Neither side are going to win, which actually means both sides are losing.
Okay, I'll move on. The European leaders, some 40 or more, are meeting at Blenheim Palace with the Prime Minister Keir Starmer. And we read from the Times, so it must be true, the discussion between our Prime Minister and Emmanuel Macron is that there could be an exchange agreement in place in which we send to France asylum seekers crossing the Channel, and in return we receive maybe children, migrant children with family in this country. Is that a good idea? Would you back that?
No, absolutely not.
Tell me why not?
Because we'd end up receiving more than we'd send. And that happened last time round under something called the Dublin agreement framework agreements. Look, Keir Starmer has a massive problem here. Of his 6 priorities that he laid out for the general election, the levels of legal, let alone illegal immigration, weren't even mentioned. But there's been an interesting development overnight that might be a rather better solution to the cross-channel problem than any negotiation with Macron, who frankly is on the way out anyway, and may not get for any agreement he gives. I doubt the Assembly would back him anyway, so this could be fairly irrelevant. But last night, for the first time since this crisis began, slowly in 2018 and then quite quickly after 2020, a Border Force boat named Ranger attended a Mayday call in the Channel just over the line into the French side. We were there before any French assistance, picked up the migrants, and then went to Calais. Not happened before at any point in time. Lifeboats have been into French waters and brought back to British ports. They went to Calais. There was a standoff. The French initially didn't want to take the migrants. They now have taken them, and Ranger has come back. So we begin to see there was always a solution to this, which is under the law of the sea that's been there for 200 years. You can pick up people in distress and take them to a point of safety. There's nothing to stop that being France. And if Keir Starmer's government has got the guts and the will to do it, we might begin to improve things.
Well, maybe there needs to be some sort of deal before that could be put in place and in any way formalised.
Well, everyone says this. You have to have deals. No, you don't. What you have to have is political will. And for some reason last night, Border Force showed political will. And guess what? It's worked.